Confidence is a weird little beast. I mean, we talk about it like some people are born with it and the rest of us are supposed to fake it until our nervous system, I don't know, files a complaint. But what if confidence was not something you either have or don't have? What if it's something you practice? Maybe it's like one choice and facing one uncomfortable truth at a time, asking it to build the confidence that you find in a strong sense of self. Because fearlessness does not mean you are never afraid. Sometimes it means you finally stop letting fear be the loudest voice in the room. Welcome back to Chats with Aunt Jackie, where we talk about magic, intuition, personal power, and the very human work of figuring out what comes next. Today, we're talking about tarot, confidence, imperfection, and the kind of courage that does not require you to become some polished, unbothered, suspiciously well-lit version of yourself. Today, my guest is Shavonne Readus, also known as V of Red Light Readings, and author of this great new book that's coming out very shortly called Tarot for the Flawed and Fearless, 22 Keys to Master Self-Confidence. Check this out. Now, I love this title because it does not ask us to become perfect before we become powerful. And this conversation is about using tarot as a mirror and not as a crutch. I love this new use of tarot. And I love how Shavonne talks about confidence as something we practice and not something we magically wake up with one morning after buying just the right journal and drinking enough lemon water. I saw V at the Glade conference when she was teaching a class about this. And I was just blown away. I'm like, she is hella on fire. So I love that this book talks about the Major Arcana and self-trust. And welcome, Shavonne, to Chats with Aunt Jackie.
Welcome, welcome. Hi.
I've missed you.
Missed your face. I've missed your face. My gosh. How have you been?
Living a new life. I'm
I
figuring
dig
it
it.
out. And
I
as are
dig it.
you.
As am I. As am I. Absolutely.
I am so excited when this book arrived from
Mhm.
Wiser, and I didn't realize you were writing a book. And I opened my box and I went, "Yee!" Because I'm so excited. We've talked about different things like this for years now.
Yeah.
And man, I think my greatest joy in looking at this book is how this is using tarot to build self-confidence.
hmm
And this is a journey we all go on. So now was this, and you're an amazing tarot reader. So how did this marriage come about? How was this working for you?
So I'm always a firm believer of working through my own wounds, of course, and being a tarot reader, you get to see the people that sit across from you that are actually telling you more of your story than they are telling you of theirs. And so I kept having clients that I love that were coming and they were just like, I don't know what's next, or I'm starting over and I'm just lost. And a lot of those stories were mirrors to my own story and figuring out, well, okay, we have to start over, but what does starting over look like? And it starts with, I like to say forgiveness, but then also this confidence in self or self trust of following your gut. We're so used to learning to follow the logic of your mind. But I've also learned that your mind is there to keep you safe. So you will find yourself repeating patterns because you're comfortable or you can control it in some way, but it doesn't really shift you into anything new. So learning to trust your gut comes from taking those baby steps of just confidence in self, not having it all put together, not knowing how it's going to go, but just taking those baby steps. And everything that I've written here are mirrors of just my own life as well. So that marriage just kind of came with, hey girl, you're flawed, but you're doing the shit. So how are you doing it? And tarot has just always been a love of mine. And so kind of using that lens to tell this story
I
is
love I love how
how
you
it
talk
happened.
about as a reader, we walk a line
hmm
that as we're reading our clients, it pulls something up within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And as a reader, an advisor, I have to be working on myself all the time and
Consistent.
learning new things. And so I'm excited because I'm looking through this and I'm like, oh, I need that one. Wait, I need that one. So let's talk about a little bit about why I felt I needed all these things. So what's so cool in the book is, and I just started in the beginning and I looked up the Fool, and what you talk
hmm
about is how to use the Fool to
hmm
build self-confidence. And you talk about the imagery of the Fool, what the Fool's about, what the energies
hmm
are there, how it aids, how the different symbols aid in self-confidence, astrological influences, and then how to put it to work. So I loved with the Fool that it's about, of course, the card is about new beginnings, leap of faith, innocence, innovation. And I use the tarot in magic a lot too. So
Yes.
this is like right in line. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this Fool, kind of like this Fool invocation of this new identity that I have. And I loved the reading. You just said pull 3 cards, do journaling. I'm all about pen magic.
Absolutely.
And doing a spread with the Fool card for authenticity, aligned, and unapologetic.
Yes.
Like card 1 is, where am I diluting my truth? Card 2 is, what truth wants to rise up and be reclaimed? And card 3 is, how do I lead myself with bold authenticity? And I just was like, oh, I love the exercises in here, and they're simple.
So here's the thing. I am, and we talk a little bit of astrological things. I am all earth. I am Taurus, Virgo, rising, Capricorn, moon. So when it comes to being practical, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Grounded, practical, down to earth. So all of my magic, all of my spreads, all of the work that I do is very like user friendly. I'm not one to have a million ingredients for a spell. I'm not one to 50 cards for a spread because you don't need, I always say the magic is you. So that practicality of just 3 cards, you can get so much information from just 3 cards. There's even one that has 2 cards. There's so much information can be drawn from that.
Totally agree, because we've been in some of the same events where, who was it that said you can do an hour-long reading with 1 card?
Absolutely.
If you just keep diving into it, all the things that each card means so much, it means more. And then on top of that, it means what's being reflected from your client. And so this is such a cool way of using tarot. And I love how you talk about self-confidence as something that we build.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about why we need to build it versus, thinking that we either got it or don't got it.
Because we're changing constantly every day. We are not the same person we were yesterday, and so Stephanie, right?
Hell yeah.
So every day is a new journey, a new adventure, a new time to say yes, a new time to say no. And we are constantly like rewriting our story. And so our confidence changes from day to day on, we might say yes to this thing today, but yesterday was a hell no immediately. So again, trusting that gut wisdom, or how you're feeling today, or I've said no so many times. What would happen if I said yes? And so
Or vice versa.
or vice versa,
Yeah.
absolutely. But the element of building is so that we keep evolving. We're never going to be faced with the same question or the same thing every day. And so we just have to kind of dig down within ourselves and say, okay, so how do I stand up today? How do I do something different today? People are based on patterns. We like a pattern, but it's also like, well, when do we step out of that pattern? When do we try something new? And that is the building of confidence.
Yes, absolutely. And as you're talking, what popped into my head is something I talk about, which is, if negative energy is heading our way, it doesn't hit the spot we're confident in. It hits the spot that we have a lack of confidence in. So confidence in different areas of our life is like a thermometer. So I might be great and confident in like doing this podcast with you, but then, I'm going into a room with 50 people I don't know that I'm socializing with, and I'm like, forget about it. Yeah, my confidence is not there.
Yep.
So as I was going through the book and reading about the different energies of confidence with the different cards, I got to thinking, well, how do I start? Where do I go? Which card do I pick? Do you have advice about where to start?
Honestly, it could go, I believe, one of 2 ways, maybe even 3 ways. The first way, of course, is shuffling the deck, and the first major that pops up, that's the one you work with. The second one is, if there is something that you are trying to embody, you're wanting to embody, say you're on the journey of motherhood, or building a business in that sense of incubating a baby business, go straight for the Empress. Or it could be an oracle in itself, just flip through the pages of the book and just say, this is the one today, and get the wisdom there.
And I love that this is not like, this is your card, you're with it forever. This is like, this is the moment you're in, because, it is the hero's journey. the whole major arcana is the hero's journey. These are all different areas of our life, and there's no bad cards. There's just cards that represent your own personal struggle.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I love that you did not shy away from the death card, from the tower card, from judgment, and it's really empowering. Because I mean, nobody wants the tower.
Absolutely.
I mean, like,
And
ooh, I don't like that. But like, how can we pull confidence out of that tower?
it's so funny that you say that because I actually did a reading yesterday for the collective, and the tower was the key. Writing the tower in here was a chapter that I kind of swayed with because I talk about my own journey in some of these, and this one was about divorce, and it starts off with, I think we should get a divorce. If that's not the biggest tower moment, if that's not the biggest crumble, but finding the confidence in that space is also about looking at what supports are holding up your quote unquote strongest foundation. And those supports, were they given to you by family members growing up? Or are they things that you came to believe about yourself that really aren't true? And so,
You hit that
yes,
one. Yeah.
exactly. And so it's looking at those supports. And if the foundation is starting to crumble and those supports are trash or they don't relate to you anymore, they have to come down.
Mm-hmm.
So the confidence is allowing for the crumble to happen because it's no longer supportive. It's no longer helpful. It's no longer a strong foundation in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is a dismantling. Yes, there is a falling apart. But once everything is down, we have the opportunity to rebuild with who we are now or what we know now to create something that's more fortified, if you will.
Yeah.
You know?
With every blessing, there's a price. With every crisis, there's an opportunity. I mean, they go
Hmm.
hand in hand.
Yes.
I feel that the universe continuously strives to find
Hmm.
balance. And that's with, if your life is only filled with blessing, you start
Hmm.
taking them for granted.
Granted. Absolutely.
And then,
Absolutely.
if you always look at everything in life as a crisis or a curse, then you can never find the blessing.
Hmm.
And so I really like how you dig into these whole things, all the harder cards. So other than the tower, was there any other card that you found to be really challenging?
Interestingly enough, I am making friends with Judgment, the Judgment card.
You and me both.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm seeing it in a different way than I feel like a lot of tarot books talk about judgment. I see it as forgiveness. And because ultimately it's about this awakening or this absolution or, stepping into the next, if you will, clean slate. But in order to do that, we also have to release the baggage that we've been carrying or we've been hauling in order for us to have this very clean and easy passage. And that forgiveness starts with us. It's not about forgiving everybody else. Yes, we want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but we're the hardest on ourselves. We are the hardest ones to forgive. So it's working through that forgiveness work of self. So you don't have this chalkboard of all the mistakes you've made since the beginning of time to
Mm-hmm.
remind you of maybe you shouldn't take that step. Maybe you shouldn't walk through that portal. Maybe this is not a redemption for you because you still have all this back here to answer for. So,
I've been looking at the judgment card. That's always judgment and justice are
mhm.
two cards when they pop up in a reading. I'm like, I don't like these cards, and sometimes I don't know what they mean.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
judgment for me has also been. I love that you talk about forgiveness because even when we need we're very angry with someone else or circumstance. In all honesty, what I find is underneath that is a need to forgive ourselves.
absolutely.
Like I'm mad at you for stealing my car. Well, I'm
Hmm.
actually mad at myself
Hmm.
for parking it there.
Yes,
And and
absolutely.
it doesn't make sense. And we never want to be the bad guy in our own story. We're never the villain in
Never.
our own story. So then
No.
when we start to feel like the villain in our own story, we get defensive, we justify, and we get
Hmm.
mad at everybody else.
Yes.
And but although, I got to tell you, heroes and villains, I think the villain is the smarter of the two. I'm just saying. Because the
I
villain's
mean,
got to figure out the plan.
this is true.
And the hero just
This is
swoops
true.
in and creates chaos to
This,
save everything and can leave without cleaning up their mess.
I love that. Heroes and villains. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So in your book, I felt it very handy is in the contents,
Hmm.
you describe each key.
Yes.
And so I could scan this. I could say, what word is going to pop out on on me. And so, okay, star. I mean, like literally the word hope popped out on me, which is interesting because I look at the star card sometimes as false hope.
Interesting. Why false hope?
Because hope, okay, here's how I think about hope is that
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have possibilities in with your hope or potential in with your hope, you
Mm-hmm.
just have a wish and you are giving your power over to waiting for the hope fairy to come and drop $1 million on your front porch.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel that with a star card, because it comes after the tower, so
Mm-hmm.
everything fell apart and you're like, woe is me, what is my life, FML, you know? And then the star card comes and it's like, but wait, there's more, there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can fantasize, we can get into that Neptunian fantasy thinking where everything's just going to work out fine on its own
I see
without.
where you're gonna. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
So but so also hope is scary.
Okay.
Hope can be very scary, like I really want this to work out. And
Mm-hmm.
so of course, obviously I'm working through some shit in this conversation because
Mm-hmm.
okay, how many times as a spiritual person you say or a business owner, they say, okay, make your vision board. That's very
Yes.
star card, right?
Yeah.
What's your vision for yourself? What's your vision for 10 years in the future? What's your vision and
Mm-hmm.
your mission and everything like that? And so to me, that's very star card.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't put reality in your vision, and they say, I mean, it's so easy to not think big enough because you don't know to think big enough. So yes, you want to think bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's no possibility in that, if there's no
Mm-hmm.
path forward in that, then you're just writing down this vision statement that can never be.
And I get what you're saying with that. So bringing it back to hope, I see it as just this openness of miracle, possibility, serendipity, the hope that, because the thing is, when we lose hope, we constrict, we close off, we shut down. So even if there is a possibility that arises, we are so closed and contained that we can't even begin to believe that this thing is showing up. And we're just like, oh no, that'll never work, versus allowing it. Yes, the tower comes down, it crumbles, and it is saying, okay, yep, we got to start over. Not sure what that's going to look like, but I am open to how this may shake out.
I like that. I like that view of hope, that it's an openness. I like that. That's
Yeah.
great.
And even with a vision board, I it's one of those things where I tell people reverse engineer. The vision board is for you to picture big dreams, to picture big hopes, to picture big whatever is on. And again, it's staying open. But yes, there is that element of reality of saying, okay, these are the baby steps that I'm taking. Are they in alignment with what I wrote for myself or what I put on this board for myself? So you're still doing the work. But again, the hope is just the openness that, okay, I'm trusting that something different is going to show up, something better is going to come my way. I can be mindful for when these little glimmers of things that I can take those and go, oh, okay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. So that's my
Yeah.
version, I guess you can say, of hope.
I like to look at visioning is creating a North Star
Hmm.
with the understanding that I can't touch the North Star, but that's
Right.
the direction I want to head in.
Yes. Yep.
And if I'm not heading in that direction, if I'm not following my North Star, then I can never achieve the vision.
Hmm.
So I think this is a good conversation in looking at the star card
Hmm.
as that North Star that says I will always be open. Well, maybe not always, but I will strive to be open
Hmm. Yeah.
to this vision. I think that's really
Hmm.
powerful. I think that might be the card I need to start with.
Mm.
Hmm.
I will also add with, the general art that's on the card of the woman pouring water into the stream and pouring water onto the ground. It's also, as you're rebuilding, it's not forgetting about taking care of yourself this time, this go round.
Isn't that where we usually lose it? Is
Absolutely.
we forget about the self. Well,
Absolutely.
especially women. I mean, even
Mm.
I can really only speak to my generation and the generation before me is that we
Hmm.
are trained to care
Yes.
for everyone. And
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say our mother said you must care for everyone. It's just like society says the
Hmm.
messaging and everything.
Hmm.
Even the messaging in like the Empress card says we take care of everyone. That's the female's purpose.
Hmm.
because we give birth, right? And so it's like we got to care for this baby, nobody else will. And our hormones drive us to that. So
Mm-hmm.
that we're continuously getting the message to put ourselves last. And I love that the newer generations coming in are fighting against that message earlier
Absolutely.
and saying,
Absolutely.
no, I'm taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Get in line.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of resentment that our younger generations are. We
Mm-hmm.
have taught them this,
Mm-hmm.
the lesson landed, and then there's like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you have a boundary? I don't like that. So we've been teaching them that self-confidence. And the other thing that hit me when I was going through this, and of course I'm a woman of a certain age, and I was thinking about how handy this would have been in my 30s
Mm-hmm.
as looking at the different layers of my life and like, what do I need today? And how do I need to bring calm
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence? Because fearlessness, define fearlessness for me in your vision.
Fearlessness is really that. To me, it's like feel the fear and do it anyway. It's like again, like you said in the beginning, we are not without fear. I mean, it's something that is inherent in us. It keeps us safe at times. But it is still having that oomph to say, okay, yep, this is scary. I've never done this before. The brain doesn't have a pattern, but I know that there's something different. I know that I have to step into a different area, a different pattern, a different something. So yes, I feel this fear, but I'm trusting myself to do something different.
Agreed. And confidence is not a lack of fear.
Mm-mm.
It's do it anyway. Same with
It,
fearless. And they're
yeah,
very synonyms there. I've always known you as V.
yes.
I actually don't think I ever knew your full name.
And it's crazy because people are referring to me as Shavonne in the tarot world, and I'm just like, who's that? That's not, I don't know who that is.
We have known each other for decades now.
I mean, very, like you were one of my first teachers when I was getting into the woo, I like to say. And, I still have the reading, our first reading that we did, and the
Really?
notes that, yes, and the notes that I took. And so, yeah, very first, we've known each other for.
And so as I have watched you really just step into your power
Mm.
and own it, because I've always seen that in you. And it's always so exciting to watch that in another human.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that is one of the joys that I get in doing the work that I do, and just seeing people evolve, having these conversations. And just take it for a second. I really struggle with calling myself a psychic, because it's yes, I know things, but I'm also not a I don't tote myself as like a predictive reader. I come from therapy background. So I'm definitely someone that is like, okay, so where are we? Where do we want to go? What's the path in the middle? And so when I have these readings with people over years and I see them, constantly step out of those patterns, step into new things, trust themselves, see their lives evolve into the very things that we talk about, like it is mind blowing and
It's
so rewarding.
the gift we get as being readers.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
yeah, babe, you're very psychic. I've known you for a minute. And my daughter calls it pattern matching. She doesn't think she's
Okay.
psychic. She feels she's pattern matching. And I'm like, yes, Anne, not everyone sees those and is able to catch that. But then there's the pattern matching and then going that next layer deeper and saying, okay, I see this pattern in your life and here's what it connects to.
Mhm. Yes, I
So
get that.
as readers, psychics, we need that
Mhm.
tip into intuition and tip into that. And you have been full time in this world for quite a while.
Since COVID. Since
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah, it's retired. I call myself a retired speech and language pathologist. And I got laid off. Like I caught the OG strand of COVID and got laid off. And I was like, okay, this is it. Like this, it's go time. But the interesting thing about that is I said a manifestation probably about 6 years before that when my kid was in second grade. And I said, by the time he gets to eighth grade, I want to be reading full time. I think he'll need me less. He has his friends, he's going to high school, that whole thing. And I just kept working and kept going, like working at the tea room, working my full time job, and didn't know how it was going to happen. I think like probably about 2 weeks before COVID hit, I was at work and I was just like, I don't know what's next, universe, but I know I can't do this anymore. And they sent us home. I caught COVID. I got laid off. My kid went into 8th grade that fall.
I love that you brought that up, that this was a 6-year manifestation,
Hmm.
because we want what we want. We want it now.
Hmm.
And it does take time to come about. And sometimes one must go through the Tower card to let
Absolutely.
go of the things that hold us back,
Absolutely.
or the things that no longer work
Hmm.
towards that North Star.
Hmm.
And that is the scary part of change. So flipping it back to using this book is when you're in the middle of that tarot card, of that Tower
Hmm.
card, and of life, you can use this as a tool to say, okay, no, I can get through this. This is good stuff. Well, I am very excited. You have a book launch party, and I really want to talk about that.
Yes, yes. We are doing a book launch at the Boston Tea Room on July 26th from 1 to 3 p.m. And gonna read a little something out of the book. I'm trying to think of an exercise we can all do, together. And then meet and greet. I want all of my BFFs, and these are my clients, these are people who have been following me forever, and just the people that I have supported me and I support them. I want all of them to be able to meet one another and to laugh and to meet and sign some books, kiss some books. That's the whole thing. The
And,
whole thing.
and celebrate you.
And celebrate.
Writing a book is not a small thing.
As I still work through my confidence of visibility, because I'm going to be completely transparent,
Mhm.
I'm still working with confidence and visibility.
And which card is that?
The sun.
Oh,
Allowing myself to stand out and be seen. I am a good behind the scenes person, but allowing myself to take up space and, say, this is a thing that I've done and be proud about it. Because there's a part of my brain that still goes, okay, you wrote a book, you were supposed to, what's next? I constantly fight that voice, consistently fight that voice to say confidently, no, I'm going to allow myself to just rest, to pause in this moment, to bask in the bigness of it,
and the process of writing a book kind of zips you open and puts your guts on the table for everyone to inspect.
vulnerability at its finest.
Yes. And then the editing process, and then some editor saying, you fix this. You're like, well, it was perfect as far as I was concerned.
Huh? Virgo rising. Did we forget that part?
So I don't know if you remember, but I have 7
Mhm.
planets in Virgo,
Oh, baby.
which is my sun sign. And then I have Libra moon and Libra rising. So I'll judge myself real fast.
Quicker than anybody else.
So this was amazing. I'm so glad that you joined me on Chats with Aunt Jackie, and you're welcome back anytime. Anytime there's a big subject we want to talk about and address, let's just talk about it.
I'm down for that.
All
I'm
right.
down for that.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And how can people find you?
I like to hang out on Instagram the most at Red Light Readings. My website is www.redlightreadings.com. Also, Facebook, Red Light Readings. I just hopped over to TikTok. I'm still new over there, but everything is under Red Light Readings.
That's great. And they can also find you at the Boston Tea Room.
Yes, I am at the Boston Tea Room. I am a house reader there. Also, for the book launch, we ask that you do register. It is free, but it is limited seating. So please RSVP. There is a code that you can call the store, the whole nine.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And thank you for listening to Chats with Aunt Jackie. And if this conversation stirred something in you, especially around confidence or self-trust or learning how to hear your own wisdom again, take that seriously. And either reach out to V, Shavonne Readus, get her book and see where it lands with you, or you can reach out to me because sometimes the next step is not a lightning bolt. Sometimes it's one clear question, one card on the table, or one truth you finally stop arguing with. Again, you can find me at auntjackie.com, where you can find this podcast and blogs. You can find me on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And that helps other people find this show as well. You can find me on Spotify, and Sundays, 8 o'clock, you can find me on paraxradio.com. So until next time, keep your magic practical, your discernment sharp, and your authority where it belongs, with you.